Okay, so like I was saying, we're on unit 8.1. We're going to be talking about domain and range of functions, okay? First thing we need to know is that a function is a graph. Okay, so we will be graphing today. The domain is all the possible x values in a graph. Okay? Range, anyone think they know, what do you think the range is going to be? The domain is all the possible x's. What do you think the range is? All possible y's. Okay, so all possible y values. I do not. No, that's your responsibility to bring your paper and your pencils. Okay, so your instructions are going to ask you to state the domain and range of the function. State the domain and range of the function. So the first part we're going to do is you're going to be given a list of ordered pairs. Okay, so basically you're going to see these kind of funny looking brackets. And I'm going to give you a list of points. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, 9, and 7, 6. Excuse me. Hey. Hurry up. Okay, so if I ask you to state the domain and the range, okay, literally all you have to do is for domain, you're going to write a list. So if this is a list of points that I give you to find the domain and range, we are just going to state all the domain, or excuse me, all the x values is the domain and all the y values is the range. So domain, you're just going to write down all of the x values and just write a list. So what are the different x values in this list? 1, 4, 8, and 7. That's your answer. Okay? The range is just the y values.
That's all we're doing from homework?
For the first part, yep. So what is the range of this function? 2, 5, 9, and 6. Now, if this was a multiple choice test, these would be written in least to greatest order. Okay? These are kind of mixed up. In your list, I don't care if they're mixed up or if they're written from least to greatest. You don't have to rearrange them to be least to greatest. But on a multiple choice test, just know that it would be written in least to greatest order. Okay? Question, yeah.
So the first numbers are the domain?
The x values are the domain. The y values are the range.
Okay.
That's it. Okay? Let's try another one. Number 2. Okay, for number 2. Again, I'm going to give you a list of numbers, or list of points. So 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 4, 4, 2, and 0, 0. Okay, once you have a list of values, I'm going to ask you to state the domain and the range. Okay, state the domain and state the range. So domain is just a list of all the x values. If it helps you to circle them or color code them or something like that, that's fine. I'm sorry?
Is the x the first one?
X is always the first one, yes, in the point. Remember, it goes x, then y. Now, if it's difficult for you to remember which one is domain and which one is range, the way I remember this is alphabetical order, okay? So domain comes before R, D comes before R in the alphabet, just like X comes before Y, okay? Domain is the X's, range is the Y's, okay? Just like alphabetical order. If that helps you, that's the way I remember the difference. So domain, just write a list. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 0. Now, like I said earlier, if it was multiple choice, the 0 would be first, but doesn't really matter to me as long as you're writing the list. And then what about the range? What do you have for range, think you? You need them now? Okay, I'll give it to them. Thanks.
What is it?
0, 1, 1, 2.
Range is the y's. So 1, 1, 4, 2, and 0. Now, the only thing that's different here is, do you see how 1, it happens twice? If a number repeats itself, you only write it in the list one time. Okay, so here you're only going to write this one time. So 1, 4, 2, and 0. And that's your answer. Okay, so it's kind of a rule, and it is important. If a number appears more than once, you only write it one time. And that's your answer. Do we have any questions so far?
No.
Not too bad, hopefully?
It's gonna get harder though, huh?
Okay, now, let's take one of your grids, and I want you to paste it in. Okay, you just need one to start with. So go ahead and paste one of your grids into your notes. Now, I promise that on your homework it's going to be a little bit easier because these graphs are already going to be drawn. Okay, so for our notes today, you will have to do a little bit of drawing. It's not going to be that horrible though. So let's see, this point is -4, -2. And over 5, 3.
Shut up, you guys.
Okay, so on your homework, these graphs will already be drawn, so it'll be a little bit easier.
What are the coordinates?
I'm not telling you on purpose. You're going to have to count them. So here, I said that domain is the possible x values, okay? Are the x values the side-to-side values or the up and down? Are x values side-to-side or up and down? Side to side. So would you agree that the x values of this graph are anywhere between this point and this point? Would you agree that? Okay, so anywhere between here and here on the x-axis. Okay, that is the domain of this function. Now, obviously so whenever you have pictures like this, the first thing you want to do is probably label the ends. Okay, so this point right here is supposed to be -5, -2. So -5, -2. Okay, this point, if I drew it correctly, is supposed to be positive. I'm sorry, this should be -4, -2. My bad. Sorry. -4, -2. This point is 5, 3. Now, do you think that the only x values are -4 and +5? Do you think there's anywhere where there's an x value of 0? Yeah, this is 0. What about x is 1? Well, that's right here. And 2. We can't write a list of every single possible point on here. So this is called a sandwich. So your domain here, and I'm just going to write D. Domain, the x values are in between. So we're going to sandwich it in between less than or equals to. In between, what's the smallest x value? -4. What's the largest x value? +5. That is your domain. Okay, so everything in between this point and this point. The range is the possible y values. Okay, so the range is everywhere from here up through here. Okay, all the values in between those. So for the range, and you can just write D and R, that's fine. Okay, range, we're going to put our y, and it's sandwiched in between. What's the smallest y value here? -2. And what's the largest y value? +3. That's our answer. Okay, and the more we do this, the easier it will be. Okay, it does take a little bit of practice here. So you're figuring out what is the domain and the range. Okay, so the smallest x values to the largest is the domain. Smallest y values to the largest is the range. Questions so far? And once we do more of these, it'll be a little bit easier, hopefully. Okay, so let's try another one. Go ahead and paste in another grid if you haven't yet. Now, like I said on your homework, these grids are already, or excuse me, these graphs will already be done, so it'll be a little bit easier for you. So we're going to find domain and range of this curve. Yeah. So we're going to find the domain and the range of this curve. Like I said, on your homework, the graphs are already going to be drawn for you. So for domain, is domain talking about the x's or the y's?
X.
The x's. So since this is solid in between, what you have to do is you're going to sandwich x. So sandwich it in between two less thans. Domain is the x's. So all the x values in between, this point is the smallest, this value is the largest. Do you see how that's the smallest and the largest for the x values? Side to side. Okay, so it's everything in between these two.
I did my grade quickly.
I'm sorry?
I did it quickly.
That's okay. So what's the smallest x value? What's the smallest x value?
The right one.
This one? Okay, this is -3. So your smallest x value is -3. What's your largest x value?
It's the one with the.
All the way to the right. And if you count over there correctly, that's +7. The range is the y values. The y values are in between here. Okay, so the lowest y value is here. The highest y value is here. So what's the smallest y value? What's the lowest y value?
5.
That one right here in the bottom. It's supposed to be -4. Okay, so y, you're going to start by sandwiching it. So start anytime you have a solid graph. Okay, anytime you have a solid graph, so or a solid line. If it's not just a point or not just a list of points, the first thing you have to do is start by writing your sandwiches. Okay, so you're always going to write y sandwiched in between for range and x sandwiched in between for domain. The lowest y value should be -4, and the highest y value up here is +5. And that's our answer.
So this is all we're doing?
Pretty much. So you're looking at pictures and telling me what's the lowest and the highest of the x and the y values. Okay? Shouldn't be too horrible. Okay? And then the last one, number 5, go ahead and put in one last graph. So paste in one last graph.
Can I have another graph?
It's okay.
Miss Coon,
It won't go
is
to
it
the
two
edge.
numbers?
I'm sorry? Yes. Dear. Yes.
Is that what you eat over time?
Paul, stop being mean. I think that's your
Okay, so for this one, again, these will already be drawn for you. Okay, these will already be drawn for you.
It doesn't belong.
Neck yourself. Neck yourself.
Okay, what if I have a graph that looks kind of like this? Okay, these are solid. So since these are solid, you're automatically going to start by putting domain and range. Domain, since it's solid, you're going to automatically start your answer like this. Range, since this is a solid line in between, you're automatically going to start our answers like this. Then domain is talking about the x values. So x values are the side to sides. So the smallest x value is here. The largest x value is here. You just have to identify those 2 points. So the smallest x value, if you count over correctly, and if I graphed it correctly, should be -6. This value right here is -6. The largest x value is 4. So x values are your domain. The range is talking about your y value, so in between these two right here. So the lowest y value is here. What value is that? -3. The largest y value is way up here. And what's the largest y value? Should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
How come it's up there? Oh,
Because this is the largest y value and it's 5.
Oh, I got it right.
It's kind of hard to see because you have to count it, okay? That's your answer. So all you guys are doing today is identifying smallest to largest y values for range, smallest to largest x values for domain. Do you have to sandwich them like this? Yes. Yes, you have to sandwich them like that. Okay, do we have questions?